Welcome to the Inside Integration Podcast. My name is Chris. I am joined, as always, by my partner, Jason.
What's up, everybody?
And today we are going to talk a little bit about content, and not the content, not the shitty content that I make. No, actual good content that your clients are watching, that you're watching. How that's being consumed these days. I mean, gone are the days of appointment television, long gone, I would say. It's not exactly, you're not exactly seeing this stuff on cable, right? Like everybody's out here streaming their butts off. What is that? What is that avenue? Where are people seeing this stuff? What are people looking at? And this kind of spawned from our quote unquote show prep meeting before this, where we were sort of unwinding a little bit on a couple of pretty great shows that are on. And
well, today I'll give us credit. We had a pretty deep one. It was at least 7.5 minutes of concentrated dialogue about what we're going to talk
about. And only like 5.5 minutes of that was just me bitching about my
some
daily.
Other stuff.
Right, sure.
Yeah, so it's good.
This was the subject of this podcast is definitely the result of Jayson talking me off the ledge from just burning this fucker to the ground.
This is not the career-ending podcast. I know somebody else probably already has that bridges burned, patented, or trademarked or something like that. We're not doing that on this show.
And I'll let you behind the curtain. 8 minutes ago, this was absolutely going to be.
It was absolutely going to be the murder-suicide podcast.
It was going to be the
He was going to kill my career and then shoot himself in the face, and then I couldn't stand for that, obviously. So.
Which is a great segue into White Lotus, the latest season.
Right. Wow.
It's pretty good.
We get it right back on the
that's
highway.
Pretty good how you do that. How we can tie murder suicide into content. But that's because we're pros, obviously.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
but
that's what we do.
I think the main thing is like all of these shows, like we're seeing these things on Apple Plus, and we're seeing them on Max and all these things, and they're like these high production value TV shows like the White Lotus. I mean, they went to Thailand, they filmed, and they all the boat scenes, and I'm not going to spoil anything or whatever, but like it's gorgeous, right? Like these things are shot gorgeously. And even it came up because we were talking about Andor, and like Andor season 1, man, it felt like it felt like another
Star Wars. At the time of this recording, that show is, I think, will premiere today as we're recording. Yeah. So when it'll have aired, I guess, if things air anymore. I don't know how that works in the streaming world.
I blew off all of my afternoon meetings. I didn't blow off any of them.
If they're streaming, did they swim? I don't know what the appropriate adjective is to associate what things do in that universe. But how, when you look at that production value, look at those costs, how in the world do they do the math to figure out get a return on that? Let's talk about business case is one thing,
sure.
But what is the vehicle to deliver that in the best way possible? Is it the streaming box? Is it some mega duty streaming box tied to some video processor? Like how do you get the good stuff out of that? How do you get the dollar appropriate output from your video and audio device du jour to drive this $40,000 blah blah blahs and $100,000 this and that's, you know what I mean?
Right.
What is that? What's that world look like?
Well, and I think it's two sides of the street here, right? Like this high production value and stuff. I think that pulls in certain people, but I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, I was at my son's t-ball game over the weekend, and there was somebody who, one of the parents, we were sitting together, and they've got their phone out and they're watching the pit. Like, so, and again, I know the pit is not it's not Andor level sets, and it's not Last of Us level sets,
but
it's not.
It wasn't free to make.
No,
either,
exactly.
Right? It wasn't two dudes standing out in front of a stereo shop with a borrowed camera. Not to describe anybody on this particular podcast.
For sure not. No, absolutely. We only film in 4K.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's kind of an interesting thing. Is like for real, you're watching this thing on a phone, and like honestly, you're not getting any kind of immersion. You're not getting anything.
Do people care? It's more about it's story driven, right? It's like a little telenovela, but it's really high production value. like when did You know, like when did Last of Us become Dark Shadows? You know what I'm saying? Like it's, you know, it's not cheaply produced. Not that,
No,
you know, not that the high production quality is even you don't even process that. It's not even tangible, right? Like all that kind of becomes invisible because it's so good. You're immersed in the story. You kind of forget about like, oh, maybe that doesn't look real, or that would never happen.
right,
You know, I don't
right.
know. It's crazy to me. I was just thinking about some content that I was talking to a client about, and they sort of asked, well, like, where do I get the best video from? Like, what does that look like? And I'm like, you know, if it was just your TV, I think you could make the argument that a straight up Ethernet connection and video decoding in the display
Right.
is going to deliver a better picture than, you know, an HDMI cable. But
I mean, it's just to simplify that signal chain, right?
right,
But I mean, I'm of the vintage, and I know you are too. That previously these kind of things, like you know, when HDNet came onto DirecTV, and DirecTV was the only HD source that you can get, and it was literally a VGA cable plugged into an RCA DirecTV box for like one or two channels at the right. What it was like, it was HDNet, and it was was
Discovery
yeah, that
HD.
was it. There were two channels.
And you can watch bears shitting in the woods
Yeah,
at 6 a.m.
in
In a
full high
river.
def, every grain.
Beautiful. An eagle soaring over your toast.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Every feather in full, 1080i stream from a satellite, whatever. But nowadays it really is. There's a lot of factors at play here, right? Like there's a bunch of different streaming boxes. You've got your Roku, you've got your Apple TV, you've got your game systems all stream and do a great job of it. Your
Your
TVs
TV
have it built
itself.
in. There's, honest to God, there are people out there who have had as clients who will AirPlay something right off of their phone onto their TV, and that looks pretty good too. Like it looks good enough, but where is that, and how much does that matter for
Right.
for your clients, and is that pushing the narrative that a dedicated media room is kind of dead, right? Like obviously you're always going to have your folks who are enthusiasts and who are willing to pay somebody to put something like that together. That's not going to change. But is that really important anymore? And that as an industry, we've kind of gone down this road so many different times, right? Like, and there's always the argument to be made, well, everybody's watching stuff on their phone, or you're sitting in front of your
Sure.
TV and you're watching with one eye and you're browsing, Reddit or Facebook or whatever on your phone while you're doing it. So immersion is kind of a thing of the past, but then you got these great pieces of content, man, like sitting down and watching episode after episode of Andor,
Right.
and
The Last of Us 2. I
yeah,
gotta plug my guys. Like, holy crap! If you haven't seen that series yet, just, it's not the typical zombie story, right? Like, it's not that. I mean, it is, but it's not. Like, it's crazy. It's just a different take on
well,
things. So
and it's well done and it's well acted. Like they ponied up and look at all these streaming services. Every single one of these things operates at a multi-billion-dollar loss every single year, right? Disney Plus, HBO Max, they're all, everything is operating at a loss as far as streaming goes. But what when is this dam gonna break, I guess, is what I'm
yeah,
asking.
I think I think that kind of layers back into the why. As far as a business case to, let us say, be less creative in terms of taking shots with creating series or content, right? Like you start out with a gold level editor's choice game of the
Right.
year storyline that you go, well, shit,
Well,
like
and
some like you start really high. That translates to a movie that is engaging to the general public, I think, on a broad scale.
And in and of itself, the fact that Last of Us was a video game long before, right? Like there's
Long before,
gaming culture is
decade
so
plus
separate.
before.
Yeah, so you've got you know, you've got The Last of Us, right? Like that was a great story that was adapted from this. Usually it's comic books. So, you know, just the fact
Right.
that we're starting to see TV shows adapted from video games, and that's kind of going forward. Like, I mean, for God's sake, the Gran Turismo movie, like that was, you know, this is a concept that did not exist.
It's not new,
Right.
but I think now with the way that games work, they're so immersive
Yeah.
where you can actually be Joel, or you can
A
be
lot of that story is already
the
written.
characters
Sure.
in the series. You can actually be them, and you know, contextualize like, oh shit, like I remember playing the game and that was a pretty hairy moment. Here it is live on the
Yeah.
screen, and it's just as impactful. And maybe you're right. Some of the age of this the content that they're selecting is to the point where maybe you were playing this when you were 15,
Sure.
now you're 25,
They're hitting that
and
nostalgia.
it's and you
Yeah.
get that little twinkle in your eye for like, oh my god, that was so nuts. Like I want to definitely get. Oh, I need a shirt. I should probably get. You know, I should probably fly to Calgary and Edmonton and go and see all the sites where they shot Last of Us or
Sure.
whatever. I mean, they have those tours now, and that's, you know, Calgary's biggest claim to fame these days. So,
Oh no, it'll always be the Saddle Dome, buddy. Come on.
no, it won't be, because they're going to blow that. They're going to blow that wonderful facility up, and all of my hearts and memories and dreams along with it. But I digress.
For you and 10,000 other
Oh,
residents of
hey,
Calgary.
hey. You settle down.
Hey,
You settle down.
it's the Houston of the North with snow, right? Is that
Yeah,
an accurate
well,
description?
it's more of the Dallas of the
Oh,
North,
okay.
but
Sorry.
That's,
Yeah.
that's probably more
I-
appropriate. But
Apologies
that's
to
fine.
our Texas listeners. They're the same
Hey.
fucking thing.
It's all good.
But
It's all good.
yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting point too, right? Like we've gone through, you know, the comic book movies have blown through. That's all, you know.
Everybody's tired of that, right?
Yeah.
Like we've seen enough Marvel movies, and that group, my age group that grew up on comic books, and probably your age group, we've like, okay, I wanted to see the Red Skull
Right.
and, you know, Captain America fight.
Right.
Saw it, check that box, we're good.
But then,
Now it's like we want to ride chickens in Minecraft or something.
which
And
I cannot figure out, and I have not. I'm going to take my kid to go see that this weekend at some point. So I'll be able to inform
will
on
you
that.
fill me in? Will you educate me so I don't have to see that piece of
It's
shit?
it's
please?
making it's making a ton of money. All the kids are talking about it. Every goddamn fucking Happy Meal has the stupid, you know.
I might have the Hamburglar.
There you go.
Within eyesight right now.
And
So they got me with a Big Mac.
well, and that's how to get you. But you know,
Yeah.
for what it's worth, like my kid was out of Minecraft. Like he went through his time with Minecraft or whatever, and then this movie came out, and he's back in. Like now, all him and his buddies are all playing Minecraft online again, and like it's weird how that works, where they all pivoted. And I mean, I'm not just talking about like my kid and a couple other ones. Like there's a mass of kids that pivoted out of Fortnite, pivoted right back over to Minecraft, and
Mine too.
Weird how that works,
Both of my kids
you know?
are like, oh, well, it's kind of fun. I want to play that some more.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're just digging.
weird.
Like I don't. Like,
Weird how that works. But again, you know, we've gone from comic books, right? And there were some, I mean, amazing comic book things like The Boys, based on a comic book, Invincible, based on a comic book, right? Like two great comics that didn't.
oh, Sin City, like
Sin
those
City,
movies.
yeah, like
You know, like all the Frank Miller Batman stuff, like amazing. Like that was so immersive in the day from the page, and to be able to have
Yeah.
that guy directing movies and to be able to kind of give you that noir, just Frank Miller as an example. That's the kind of stuff I think that bar's already set for a younger audience at that level.
Sure.
So where do they go from
well,
there?
so now
maybe
it's video games.
Yeah.
Now we've got Fallout. Now we've got supposedly there was going to be I think there was a BioShock movie, and that didn't do well at all for some reason. I don't know what it was, but
well,
you know.
that game, the video, the thematics of that game are pretty dark. Not to say that Fallout is some like bright sunny
dude,
path.
Fallout is
but
great because of just the little, like the gallows humor that is just
the
pervasive
joke,
through the
it's
whole
a joke
thing.
the whole time.
It's
It's a
hysterical.
joke.
It's so great.
It's 50s kitsch. It's sci-fi like Goomba rocket
Yeah.
robot dumb shit. Like
Anything with Walton Goggins in it is just, I mean,
it's
I'll
amazing.
watch
You
that
want to
guy
be a
all
part
day.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and Grand Theft Auto. I mean, his role on Grand Theft Auto is one that I know he deeply regrets, but it's
It's fantastic.
fantastic acting. like, like
Agreed.
like there's even games like Red Dead Redemption. Like there's honestly a part in that game where you kind of break through in a cinematic and it starts singing a song, Unbroken, or I think, or Unshaken or something by D'Angelo. And like it's honestly as good and immersive and get the arms, get your arm hair standing up
That's
tingly
cool.
as any Western cinematic that you'd see in a movie, right? And the only reason you're engaged is you're like, shit, like I went through all this stuff in the game, and now I've reached this other point where I'm past that, but it had to sing this little song about it. Like it's crazy.
So it's interesting to note, right? Okay, so companies put millions and probably billions of dollars into video game development, right? And that makes a lot of sense because now you can sell a game for $70 and
Well, it's
tack
way
on.
bigger than movies.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, right? And so you could sell the actual physical thing or not physical thing for $70 and get all the DLC and all the different stuff and different whatever, and like somebody might spend 250 $300 on a game over the lifetime of that game as opposed to $15 to go see a movie in the theater or $10 a month to stream it on Apple Plus or Disney Plus or whatever it is, or $20 to stream it or whatever. Like that's an interesting dynamic to me. And the story is already written. So theoretically, you take all those development costs that you put into the video game, and now you don't really, maybe you don't need to spend as much on you're not world building.
You pay a licensing fee
Yeah,
and
sure.
somebody to if they're going to have somebody that wants to respect the IP, we'll just throw that in quotes, right?
Well, the better
Let's whittle this
versions.
down into a 2-hour digestible chunk that we can sell, Cokes and popcorn for, and then maybe get a toy line going and some tchotchkes, or
Tale as old as time,
figure out,
right?
or let's figure out how we can stretch the tail on this dog for as long as possible and make it, years of miniseries where we get to put all these actors to work,
Sure.
and generate,
I mean,
levels of fandom.
the Walking Dead as a comic, it was not a very popular comic. That thing went like what 28 seasons and 15 spin-offs of just shitty acting.
Dude,
like
I
yeah,
know a guy in Orlando that was in that show. Like that's how many
I'm
actors.
pretty
have
sure
been
everybody in
on
Orlando.
like, that's how many actors have been like characters on that show got murdered and turned into a zombie and shot in the head. Right,
And
like
that's only
it's
because
crazy.
they just ran out of people that were that close to Atlanta. So that circle just
Right.
got bigger and
Yeah, Central Florida is a lot closer
Yeah, man.
to Atlanta than LA, so that's a good point.
and cheaper. Don't forget
Yeah,
cheaper.
for sure. Oh yeah, no, yeah, whatever.
But
He's got a credit, so it's all good.
so back to the beginning here. So that that leaves us as integrators in a bit of a pickle.
How are they watching this?
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you delivering this in the best ways possible? Let's call it out here, right? Like Kaleidoscape is
No
the
brainer.
download
Sure.
king, right? Like that's the you know uh, to make an alcohol analogy, right? That's what the bottle of Louis. That's the best of the best as far as
Well, in that
bit for bit and off the shelf thought out
right.
solution that anybody can just plug in and make it go.
And
right?
I think that speaks to a certain subset of clients who are maybe a little bit uneasy with like renting their content, right? If that makes sense. Like you buy these movies, it's same person with a big DVD collection, right? Like you physically own, all of these things and you're not paying a streaming, you're not borrowing it, you're not worried that it's going to go off of Netflix when you want to watch it or however that works. I think that's a subset of clientele that that kind of thing appeals to. You own your content. It lives on this box. As long as this box is alive, you will you will own that content.
It's degrading inside this box.
Right.
You can't see it. You
Right.
don't know it.
Right.
It's actually going to look shitty when you actually do ever decide to fire this thing up. But
I mean, that would be a
it'll
fun
be
Easter
there.
egg, right? Is like you put it in there and like you go
Wah, wah.
you gotta watch like some amazing like some the I'm trying to remember what the World War II Pacific movie was that they used for a demo for everything, but like you go to play that thing and like it's got a tracking line across it or it's like just skipping around like just a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah, nice DVD logo bouncing around on the
Right,
screen.
right.
Sorry, can't play, and then just the tray spits out.
That's exactly. And then you look at it, and there's like, yogurt from your kid in a very
Oh
small
yeah,
palm-sized thing, and it's been there for four
and
years.
it's upside down and scratched,
Right,
so
right.
it'll be good.
But
It'll be
yeah,
just fine.
you know, I mean, I rock a Roku and an Apple TV at home. That's enough for my family. Most of my stuff comes off of Plex, but the new shows and that kind of thing are, it's Apple TV Plus or it's HBO Max or it's whatever. And I think the interesting thing about it is, Roku seems to be still going strong. Like that that was
The Waltons are no dummies, right? Like
right. I mean, they got the
they
backing,
they they can see that, right? Vertically integrated corporation. They're like, why shouldn't content be part of our
Hey, Voodoo. Remember
our
when they bought
our
Voodoo? Like that was a good move for them. You know,
Yeah, now it's Fandango, right?
or
So they've
whatever.
got
Yeah, sure.
that well, it's just evolved into that next thing. So yeah, they're no dummies. They sell enough TVs. They should know, But I think that's the shallow end of the pool. That's where everybody's at. As the CI integrator, like what are you selling to deliver? Like what's better than that?
Right.
Is it the Apple TV with the Mad VR, the Mad Apple TV with the video solution du jour from somebody else? Is it the Frankenstein computer where you put the really nasty NVIDIA
Oof.
card on
The
it?
home theater
And
PC. My God, you remember those? Remember that
I
whole?
do. I'm guilty as charged
That's
of
where I started with this
absolutely
shit.
of absolutely telling clients that a Windows PC was a great
Oh
solution for content,
God.
and as long as they didn't mind sitting there and navigating and opening up Windows Media Player
with
and
your
and
wireless keyboard and trackball on your couch.
yeah,
Promise of the future.
it's just the wave of tomorrow that
Oh,
really never broke. Um, certainly, the Fusion Media Server and that kind of solution.
sure.
Shout out to my buddy Ingo for soldiering that one around the country for a number of years there.
Yep.
But I think without a doubt, I think there's no question that Kaleidoscape, if you're just looking for a solution, we're not here to show for them, but
No.
that's the off the shelf way to go. But for everybody else, if you're not selling that, like what is it that you're selling?
Right.
It's got to be, if you're trying to extract maximum dollars from your client, it's got to be A, something that's robust,
Yep.
but B, it's also got to be something that you can plug into other things and get good and sound. And we've talked about video quality plenty, but sound quality I think is the one place where all those boxes kind of fall short
Yeah.
of where Kaleidoscape's at, frankly.
Well, and you're absolutely right about the audio being most of the equation there with Kaleidoscape. Like that is absolutely the biggin, right? Like the video looks great and everything else, but the audio is the key because that's where you really get your immersion from. But you've got kind of this two-sided school of thought where clients want simplicity, or at least that's what when I was doing this a few years ago, clients want that kind of simplicity. And you would try to make things simpler by putting in a video distribution system, right? So you share all your sources at the rack, you distribute the video. It's a lot simpler than that, right? Eventually we evolved
Easier than that now. You can pick it up virtually from any room.
Yeah, you slap it on the back of the TV, whatever it is, whether it's a Roku or an Apple TV, and that's great. And that's wonderful. But then to make it even simpler, you can just use the TV apps, but that introduces a whole another thing, right? So now you've got to navigate Google on your TV or, WebOS or whatever Tizen bullshit, whatever brands are putting out, right? Like this is not an easy process, and it's made harder by these manufacturers who are, they're bundling this stuff in. And I mean, as an end user, my pet peeve is, trying to do a streaming thing from the TV, and it's like I got this screen, it's got a whole bunch of different things that are like trying to get my attention based on my viewing habits and everything else. Like that just kind of gives me a shitty feeling, right? Like, whereas when I go into the Roku or I go into the Apple TV, it's pretty much a straight shot. And for as far as integration and automation goes, you still really can't beat Roku with being able to go directly to the app. Like that's the most used feature in my house, is picking up the remote and pressing, the Plex button or the Disney button, and everything just kind of goes. that is kind of a simplicity based thing as well, right? And now you're not depending on the TV, but yeah, I mean,
And
these,
you're of an age that you're sophisticated enough and experienced enough to be able to navigate that. I think, I was I was putting my parents' age group into the scenario you just described, and the number of cell minutes that would be burned
sure,
to try to get me to help them watch Fox News or whatever they're into this week is
just
palpable.
replace their TV with just a static image, right? Just a static picture of just some old white dude yelling, and
Yeah.
the crawl never changes. It's
Just
good
it's
enough.
it's going to be a picture of Sean Hannity, but the mouth from Conan O'Brien, like that just moves, like, like
Right.
within it, and just yelling
Yeah,
stuff.
it's just
Sorry,
on a loop, just a kind of constant
it's
loop.
just on a constant repeat. Not sorry, I had to visualize and share
Yeah, sure.
that, that monstrosity.
I mean,
You're right.
could you imagine what kind of market there would be, right? If you came up with a way to put exactly what you described on a thumb drive and then market this thing to like Gen Xers who are just trying to keep their boomer parents placated in front of the TV, where you go to their house, you pop this USB stick in, and then you walk away, and all it does is it's just that on a
You
loop.
can reverse indoctrinate people though. Like they're like, look, Hannity was saying Obama's like the best guy ever,
I think that's
or
a bridge too
whatever.
far, bro. I think that's
Well, I mean, you got to work your way up to that,
I
right?
mean, maybe
But
if you pick the white guy as your example, that would work.
oh,
But I think it's
okay.
so
Well,
deeply seated.
fair enough, fair enough. We're all of a sudden he's got a lot of Tim Walsh talking points, right? Or whatever,
No,
whatever,
I mean,
whatever it's gonna be.
I think that's amazing, right? Like you don't. I
You
mean,
know,
just
maybe we should delete this podcast and come up with that on our own.
nah.
Delete all of this.
It's fine. Somebody will market it. You know what they'll do? They'll slap a thing on it, and there'll be a huge
Well,
grift. And
yeah, I want Team Coco to get credit for it because it was really it was really their vision that I stole just to make it my own.
it's
But
you
that's
can.
kind of the way of it today.
And I mean, you can expand that into so many different things, right? So like if you just, you know, if you have a loop of yourself, like you're having a video call with your parent, that's something you don't have to ever talk to them again.
Wow. I mean, I love my parents. I don't know about you. It's totally different over
I'm
here.
just thinking of ways to make money because that's really what
That's
it's all
fine.
about, right?
Well, this is a capitalist podcast.
That's all we
so
care. That's all we
I'm
care
100% with you, brother.
Yeah.
I'm 100% with
Buy
you.
our candles.
Yeah, please. On that note, please buy our shirts and our candles.
stop.
But yeah, I think to kind of put a bow on this, though, I mean, the way that I see right now, for people to maximize the goods from what they're trying to deliver to their customers, in terms of a video processing chain, if such a thing exists, outside of the TV, what have you, if you're not relying on the embedded apps in a display, um, it's got to be tied to a video scaling product, right? Like you have to be able to show some value above and beyond what a $150 box or $200 streaming box can deliver.
Sure.
Yes, that might be the client's expectation. They might be like, yeah, I want it to be like Apple TV in my theater or anywhere else that I go and see it. But I think there's the door where you open it up and go, in this room, we should probably be doing a
Right.
kaleidoscope, or we should be doing a video scaler. And they go, well, why? And I'm like, well, because you spent 100 grand on this thing over here.
Right.
And just like your Ferrari, it runs better when you put the really good gas in it, right?
And there's a case to be made for, you should have one marquee diamond room, right? Like if you're really into consuming content in an immersive way, absolutely, build a theater, dedicate the space to that, whatever. But then every other TV in the house can just be dead simple, whether it's just an Apple TV
dumb,
or the
fine.
included apps, fine. But that's the case to make, right? Is, with a 75-inch TV, yeah, you're going to be probably a little further away from it, but you're going to be looking at your phone. It's going to be in a super bright room or whatever, where you're dedicating the space, right? Like, yeah, you've got your high-end Ferrari for pleasure driving, right? Like spend, that room in your home, that is your, that's your space. If you're into it. And a lot of clients, man, I'm telling you, like they just, hey, it is what it is. I don't care. I don't care about consuming TV. I don't care about the experience. If I want, I'll go to the movies, like, all right, I get it.
it kind of made me think too about how spoiled we are when we're talking about all these things, like the ways to consume content. Like you think about some, we'll just say, underdeveloped nations that don't have
Canada.
televisions, right? The phone is the gateway to everything,
Sure.
right? So, it doesn't matter what screen you're watching it on, and conversely, the bar for quote unquote good video is set pretty damn high,
Hmm.
even at very accessible price points, right? Relatively speaking, right? Like you just now than maybe it's ever been, and certainly at a price point.
Hey,
There's high
so
technology out there, but
funnily enough, as you were talking about video quality, your video quality, you died.
plummeted.
You no,
Yeah, it's
you
cool.
literally dropped off and like it stopped the recording because it thought that you hung up on this call. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh, fun. But are we
so
still recording or no?
I mean we are now. We're back
Oh,
now. I missed everything that you just said, but yeah,
oh man, that was the best part of the content. Jeez, that's the
I
most salient
know.
point I made all the time.
It
Jeez.
was the whole point of this episode that didn't have any meandering direction. So
Oh, perfect.
yeah,
Well, that's what we get. I got a whopping 2.8, 3.6. We're climbing, buddy. I
yeah,
don't know. This is what I get for this high quality
yeah.
networking solution that was donated to me for free.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. All right. So yeah, to put a bow on this. Oh, that's something I wanted to make sure I mentioned. 16 events across the summer. Are you ready?
Are
Are
you ready
you?
to go? I'm not ready. I mean, I'm only going to like 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, well, hopefully that's all I have to go to too. I'm working that out. I'm not as much as I want to see all of these things and want to go to all of these things. I'm just kind of not feeling it. So we'll we'll see how this goes. I mean, I might just
Wow. We'll just come to the ones in the Pacific Northwest so we can hang out
well, I mean,
and
even
high five some elk.
even that's a problem. Even that's a
Is it really?
yeah,
Wow.
that's
I
kind of
see
a
how
thing.
you are. I see how you are.
Hey, I'm not the one with the problem. No,
Okay.
but it's never. You put that on my business card. No,
Yeah, I'm not the problem. I disagree. You're usually
essentially,
at least part of it.
yeah. I mean, hey, I would love to. I truly would. But just some weirdness.
I
We'll
get
leave
it.
it there.
Sure.
But anywho, yeah, man. So ton of events, ton of fun things happening.
Yeah. This is event season, right? This is when the spring tech summits are. This is when the the buying group things have probably already happened, but maybe some of the follow-up road shows or some of the commitments that have been made outside of that start to happen.
Yeah,
Like that's really when it starts to trickle down the pant
there
leg into reality. And
there is
the
no, thinking about this, like there really is no downtime in the year, right? Like we go from, all of the, HTSA and HTA and ProSource and ASIO, and they're all kind of grouped together, right? And that comes right on the heels of like CES, and then you have your CDU regionals happening along the lines, and then every manufacturer has like a summer, whirlwind tour with a bunch of events, and then like you roll right into CEDIA, and then what do you get, like November and December? That's pretty much about it, you know?
Yeah, I think you're right. From middle of November through, what, January, February.
Yeah,
February kind of get through CES. You get through that. Shake it off from the beginning of the year, but
yeah.
by the third or end of January, beginning of February, you're trying to get back on the horse as hard as you can, and events and vendors start showing up in town, and maybe not as much up here, but certainly in
Sure.
warmer climates, they're like, hey, it's February, I should be in Florida or I should be in Southern California.
Hey, your first
Who are
quarter
we going to
numbers
see?
are in a shit. Well, yeah, it's
Yeah,
because I don't have any time
let's
because
go
I'm constantly at shows.
let's go do a victory lap for all and say thank you to all the guys that supported us.
There
That
you
don't
go.
get
I'd like to see
that's the
that.
right approach in my opinion.
Absolutely the right approach. I mean, dealers make the world go around, right? So,
Agreed.
all right, brother. Yeah, that's kind of all I have. Again, check out our merch store, and thank you so much for spending this time with us. We appreciate it, and honestly, without this therapy, there'd be flames behind me. So, yeah, thank you for hearing me out.
Chris, this is not this is not the career ending podcast. This is not the murder suicide
Not
podcast. So
today. Not
we
today.
we routinely talk each other off the ledge. So it was my turn today So, I got to be Murtaugh
Yeah.
and get Mel Gibson to stop trying to pull people's houses down with his
Too old.
dually
I'm too old for this shit.
pickup truck.
I'm eating
Yeah,
dog
exactly.
bones. Whatever. Anyway.
Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes.
All right.
So,
Thanks for joining
if you
us.
listen to this if you listen to this podcast all the way through, sorry for the technical glitch. We appreciate you, but take care, everybody. Bye bye.